Hello, hello, hello. We are back. Well, actually, we're back already. With Pete and Chris, we're already back. They jumped the gun. They couldn't wait till 8 o'clock, and they brought us the fabulous away days, which I have to catch up on myself. I only caught about 5 minutes of it, but it looked like a good 5 minutes. So, and I know you had Mike and you had Keith Roller as well on the show. So I'm sure it'll be a good watch, and it's always nice to have that leading into the game. I find it's nice as the week builds for a game. So yeah, we are back. How's everybody? First of all,
I'm all right. You?
Not too bad. Bit of a break, no harm.
Yeah.
Feel like I never doing that away days. I feel like I've never been away. It was like just
yeah.
like getting back on the bike. But no, it's been good to have a rest. I think always good to have a rest, particularly how busy the transfer was. But we're back, and what the great thing is, and we're not just back; we're back with football.
Yeah, exactly, and it's going to start getting busy now, and all the talking is over now. It's time for it to get down to business, really. Let's start. I have a few topics in the system here, a few pictures, and we can talk around. But as I said, if any lads have anything else to bring as a topic, or something pops up in the chat, we'll take it then as well. Because there's only the three of us tonight. Martin's Dawson. Let's go first straight into. I kind of want to pick up from where we left off on deadline day, where we brought a few players in, 5 in total. Actually, here let me show you all 5. If you need to be reminded, so we 5 players in, but that meant that we need to make room in the squad. So this is what the 25-man squad was officially looked like then after. So. So a few players went on loan. A few of the younger players, let's say. Then Woodman went on loan as well to Bournemouth. Jeff Hendrick packed his bags and went to QPR on loan as well. Then that meant that Kieran Clark is out of the 25-man squad, and so is Jamal Lewis. And Isaac Hayden, who's still carrying that injury, is out as well. So, yeah, and I know there's some talk as well about potential moves in the MSL for Kieran Clark. But this could have been ruled out since now, correct me if I'm wrong. Jamal Lewis was linked to a Turkish club, and Hayden was linked to about 3 clubs at least. Spartak Prague being one of them, I think. Yeah, so we'll see what develops there over the coming days, I guess, with that one. So, first of all, what's your thoughts, lads? I know we had touched it on the end of the deadline day, but any qualms about who was left out, or what's your thoughts?
I am actually a bit annoyed, to be honest with you. I think it's a bit harsh on Jamal Lewis, I'm honest, because he managed to get his way back into the team, and he was looking good apart from his hamstring injury. And I just think it's, I think with Clark's been an absolute liability pretty much all season. So I think that was a dead cert that he wasn't going to be in the 25, especially when we brought Dan Burn in. Obviously with Paul Dummett being fit now as well. I just think that if we had 4 goalkeepers to start with, and we wondered why we had 4 to start with. You know what I mean? And it was a bit of it. We mentioned at the start of the season about having 3 and then relying on a youth goalkeeper and under 20 if worst came to the worst. And then obviously Steve Bruce put the 4 goalkeepers in. And to be honest with you, I think that if you look at the 3 goalies we've got now, Dubravka, Darlow and Gillespie, that realistically you could look at, in my opinion, Clark out, fair enough. Hayden, we don't know how long his injury is going to be, so it's probably better to err on the side of caution and leave him out, even though he's been, a pretty much a mainstay for the first half of the season and every other previous season as well. So, if it was a short-term injury he's got, then yes, he could probably feel a bit hard done. Now, if it's a long-term one and he needs to rehab for next season, then so be it. It's the right call. But with Jamal Lewis, I just think it's an absolute disastrous decision. I know goalkeepers can gain you points by making saves and stuff like that. But realistically, with Dubravka and Darlow, if one of those 2 were to become injured, you'd realistically, the way that COVID went last year and stuff like that as well, it sort of dies down a bit over the Easter the period, the spring and summer period. So you're probably going to see a few less cases of it going like for the second half of the season compared to what we've had. And the amount of times that goalkeepers are injured in matches is very few and far between. So I would have probably looked at leaving Mark Gillespie out. And if there was, something that happened to either Dubravka or Darlow, then you've got some really good goalkeepers in the under-23s who you could rely on who wouldn't have cost a squad place. And even if the worst came to the worst, you do have the position to, I believe, and I think, Pete might be able to clear this up, you can apply for an emergency loan if needs be, if there's a position where a goalkeeper is injured because it's a specialised position. So I think it's a no-brainer to have Gillespie in the squad and leave Jamal Lewis, who, if you're looking for an attacking fullback, similar to what Target is. I know he's probably not been as effective as what Target's been since he's been at Villa, but he's probably out of the left-sided options at fullback, the most like-for-like replacement if something was to happen to Target in the second half of the season. And I just think it's absolutely bizarre that he's been left out. And even more so, he's not going on loan at the minute. Now there was a rumour of, I think it was Trabzonspor possibly coming for as a loan option, but I can't see him go to Turkey, and it just seems a waste for the whole of the second half of the season. He may just stay on the bench for no fault of his own, in my opinion.
No, that's fair enough, Richie. Pete, I'll go to you next. And actually, you know what, Pete, I'm going to throw on another bit into the question as well, into the equation, I should say. And I want to bring up Hayden's statement. So Hayden's put out a statement. So I'll read it out. I am bitterly disappointed to have not been included in the 25-man squad for the second half of the season due to injury. It's been a tough 12 months for me, with injuries massively affecting my availability for the club. Now is a time for me to reflect. I'll be working harder than ever before to come back stronger, like I always do. I'll be a supporter like everybody else, and I'll be supporting the lads and the staff as best as I can for the rest of the season. We all want to see the club climb the table as much as possible, and I am no exception. Take care, Isaac.
I think it's harsh. But I can understand it to a point of view, in that every game between now and end of the season matters, and every game you need everyone fit and available. And as far as I'm aware, Isaac Hayden's probably got another couple of months worth of recovery to go through, so he's going to miss a huge chunk of the season. And so, although it's harsh, I think if I was Isaac Hayden, I'd be gutted, but I would understand why the decision's been made.
Yeah.
So I don't think, and I think that's why we got that statement from him. We know he's a very good professional. We know he cares about the fans' opinions of things, and he just seems like a genuinely nice guy. But I think it's the right decision, and I don't think it's something that should have been even in question. The Jamal Lewis situation, I agree with what Richie says, is that actually you cannot invest money in a 23, 24-year-old left back and then pay the money that we did and then leave him out the squad. For me, he has to be in the squad because he gives us something. For me, he's an ideal left back for the type of football that Eddie Howe wants to play. Don't get me wrong, I think Matty Target's a great acquisition, and I think at this moment in time, Matty Target is a better left back. But in my opinion, I just think Jamal Lewis should have been in the squad. What is Jamal Lewis's thoughts right now about his future at Newcastle United when he's fit and he's available and he still doesn't make the squad? What are his thoughts right now? Is he thinking my long-term future's elsewhere? Is he thinking, I'm just going to sit on my money now because they've not put me in the squad? It's a difficult situation for a 24-year-old to be in right now, and he must be kind of, his thoughts must be going wild with regards to where he's at and where his future lies. It's a horrible situation. You'll get some people that will fire straight back, and he will come back stronger and play better and show his worth. or you get some that will kind of just fizzle away. And I really hope we don't see that from Jamal Lewis, because I think he's a talented young lad that just needs games and he needs time on the pitch, which he didn't get under the previous manager and the previous ownership. So disappointed with that. But you've got to ask the question, who else would you take out? So I'll bounce that question back to you boys. You know, we've got the squad there. You know, from that defensive, from Paul Dummett down to Big Dan Burn, who would you have taken out of that list to put Jamal Lewis in? I mean, there's one or two that stick out for me, but like, we'll start with you, Daz. Who would you have put for?
I'd look at the likes of Kraft, but I know the thing with Kraft, like, he can play right back and he can play centre back, so he's another option if we got really stuck in centre back. Or I'd look at Matt Ritchie. I don't think he's at his best when he's playing left back, and I wouldn't put him in midfield either, as in a wing back kind of fashion, let's say, or winger. But so either of those, I'd love to be able to take out Dwight Gale, but we have no other strikers, so we have to keep him in there and hope he, if we need to call him, that he would do something. But I suppose it's between Kraft and Matt Ritchie for me.
Interesting. Richie, who would you go for?
Well, as I already said, I would have left Gillespie out personally. If we were having to stick with the three keepers, though, and name them, I would personally leave out Matt Ritchie, because, yes, I know he's probably been kept in because of his experience, and obviously that can be vital if you're in a dogfight. Whereas you look at Jamal Lewis, his experience in the Premier League before us was a relegation with Norwich. So, but he also knows what a relegation fight is as well. So, he might not want to be on the receiving end of the relegation on his CV. So, I know, like they said about Kraft, he hasn't been great since he signed for us, and I can really understand why people are saying that. But I just think if you put the squad list back up, Daz, if you don't mind. If you look at the left back options where Ritchie's, he's been playing, you've got Dummett who can play there, you've got Target who can play there now. Manquillo can play on both flanks as well, and you've even got Dan Burn as an option at left back as well. So, I think that's the only reason why I would have said possibly Matt Ritchie on that sort of front. But the only other alternative for me is, I know a lot of people don't like Jamal Lascelles and have been, saying that. Realistically, you look at some of the centre backs that are there now, he's probably fourth choice or something now. But unfortunately, he's club captain, and that means he's going to be probably one of the first names on the team sheet. And I've seen all the teams lists that people have been put up since the window's shut, and he hasn't been in one of them. It always seems to be Shaw and Burn and stuff like that, and you think. Well, you do realise everyone's going to be disappointed when the Everton game comes up on Tuesday, because you can guarantee it'll be Lascelles and Burn or something like that. Unless he decides to do something completely left field and go three at the back, and I can probably see it like a Shaw, Lascelles and Burn, which could work, because we know that Lascelles seems to play better in a three, in the middle of a three, which he did when Rafa was here, when we had Shaw, Lascelles and Lejeune. So that's not a bad option on that front, because he was really solid there. He was you've got two centre halves either side who can carry the ball out, or comfortable on the ball. But then you've got your no-nonsense centre half who doesn't do anything fancy. He heads the ball away, he'll clear it, pass it side to side, whatever. And that's probably where he's best. So I can understand him keeping in that, and obviously he's club captain. But Ritchie probably for me would be in the first choice. I can see obviously everyone said about the experience and how he's influencing the dressing room, but he can even if he wasn't in the squad and he didn't go out on loan somewhere, and if he's going to do what Jamal Lewis is going to do, that influence will still be in the dressing room, because he's not going to want to get relegated either. He doesn't want to give up on his Premier League dream as well. So it's a real tough one, but it would have probably been between Ritchie and Kraft, like I think both of you have said there. But that's just me. Personally, I would have had, as I said, I'd have had Gillespie took out, because if needs be, you can rely on some fantastic goalies in the under 23s, etc. Or if worse comes to worse, you can apply for an emergency loan.
Okay, I'm going to give my opinion as well because I think I could have said it on deadline day, or definitely said it off air or something anyway. And it's around Lewis as well. And okay, so if I think Richie, when you went through it there, let's say Target gets injured, that you named about 3 different people apart from Lewis that could fill in there at left back. So let's assume Target is our number 1 choice, apart from when we're playing Villa. He probably won't be able to play then. But so there's only about 2. I'm saying there might be 2 chances Lewis will get in the next 17 games. So, and for me, Lewis needs games. He needs games, and he needs to build up. He's just a mental thing as well. Get regular game time and bring him back to where he was. And I think that's probably why they tried to send him out on loan. And was it Birmingham on the night that was mentioned? I think it was Birmingham.
And Stoke.
And Stoke. Yes. Yeah, okay. So yeah, he would have got games there, and it was in some ways it was a bit foolish not to turn down those chances, because he would, like Eddie Howe would have been watching him then, and he would have could have played himself back into contention in that way for the start of next season, because we are going to go and buy a left back in the summer. Or we're going to, if he was doing really well, maybe he would have been at least second choice in the left back position. But so that's why I think they tried to send him out, and probably why he's been left out of the 25 months.
I'll be honest. I didn't know the 2 options who he was asked to go on loan to before he turned down. But now you've mentioned Stoke and Birmingham, I'm very, very surprised he didn't go to Stoke, especially with Michael O'Neill being there, who was his coach at Northern Ireland. So he knows what he gets from him. So I think I'm really, really surprised by that one, if I'm honest. I didn't know who his loan options were. So I'm really surprised he turned Stoke down for the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because if you're not playing football, which he's not going to do unless he gets that move to Turkey, that's going to regress your progression. And I just think it's difficult, because if you're told last minute, and it must have been last minute, that you're not going to be in the squad, it's very hard kind of within that 24-hour period, 48-hour period max, to have your world kind of shattered, really, that you're in the squad playing, you just got back fit, you're expecting to be in the team, and then all of a sudden you're in a position where you're being told you're not going to be in the squad and you have to leave. It's not as easy as that with some players. Players have families and various other things. So with Jamal Lewis, I understand that, but I think if he'd have had a little bit more time and maybe given a little bit more notice, he probably would have been able to make more of an informed decision. The one thing I'll say with regards to Kieran Clark, though, is that Kieran Clark had the whole of January. He knew in January, right, that he was going to be going out, or that he knew that he wasn't going to be in the team. So he had the whole month to think about where his next move was. The fact that we spent the whole of January looking for a very specific left-sided centre back tells you that you are not going to play in this team anymore. And for anybody that thinks anything different, Kieran Clark knew his days were numbered as a Newcastle player. I would be very surprised if Kieran Clark plays for the club again. Yeah, of course, he's not going to play for us this season, but I don't think he'll play for us again, and he'll go in the summer. So why not get a loan somewhere, or even a move somewhere? Middlesbrough, look at what Middlesbrough did on Friday. He could have been a part of that and played a big part of that. And he's got a fantastic manager there in Chrissy Wilder to kind of develop him. He'd have been playing at the perfect standard for what his abilities are at this moment in time. He's a playoff championship centre back, and it was an ideal move for him. Locality wise, it's only down the road. He wouldn't have been able to move anywhere. It was perfect for me. It was an awful decision from Kieran Clark, right? And I think it was pure stubbornness is the reason why. And the only one he's affecting is himself. We don't care. We'll still pay his wages. Okay, our owners are they're good for it. Put it that way. We can cover his wages for the season, but the only one he's ruining, the only person's career is ruining is his own. So
But just on Kieran Clark as well, because there has been a not here now, but on social media, a bit of a witch hunt over Kieran Clark. We must say as well, because he did put in a good shift for us over a number of years. We bought him when we were in the Championship, and he did a job first. Definitely did a job first in the Championship. He did a few years in the Premier League as well, but we should have been sold a few years ago. It was because of the Mike Ashley era and not strengthening the defence. That's why he was still with us. So, well, we thank him for his service, but yeah, it's definitely time to move on. And I
was going to touch on. We'll talk about the centre backs bit there, and I'm just going to go back to the comment, and it's off Sir Monkey Suit, and it says if Lascelles plays, and he probably will, as I mentioned before, he's club captain. He better not make a mistake, because we all probably see some fans quickly lump onto how they're picking him because everybody wants Shaw. Now, everyone's presuming that Dan Burns is going to come in at that left centre back position, because he's been having a decent season for Brighton and he's a natural left-footed centre back. But how is that going to go down well? Bearing in mind that we're coming back on the back of a away win at Leeds. Shaw was probably man of the match in that performance. So everybody's wanting Shaw and Burn because that's the logical choice. Yeah. But I think we all pretty much know that Lascelles is going to be the first name on the team sheet because he's club captain.
I don't know that.
What do you think on that? Do you think there will be a backlash if Lascelles played over Shaw in the Everton game on Tuesday?
There might. I'll go first here, Pete. There might be if we lose. If we win, it's not going to matter so much. But if we were to lose and he was at fault, then there might be. But I don't think he starts. I've told myself that team that's going around that for the back with Char and Dan Burn is the one that's going to happen. Lascelles out for me it won't be Trippier as captain. I imagine it'll be Shelvey as captain, and Trippier would be kind of second in command there then as well.
Do you think Lascelles might be carrying an injury after that he went off at the Leeds game?
He could be on Tuesday.
He's look. I think Lascelles trained when he was in Saudi Arabia. The only ones that didn't, I think, was Dummett and Joe Linton, if I'm right in thinking. So I think Lascelles would be fine for Tuesday. Look, we have to understand, regardless of our opinions of Lascelles, we know he's regressed as a player and he's not the same player that he was under Benitez. And ultimately, his days are numbers as a Newcastle player too. But as long as he's captain, I think he plays. And whether we like it or not, I think he'll start. And I think he'll probably start alongside Dan Burn. The only thing it will ask the question about, because I thought Shaw was fantastic, and I think Shaw wouldn't deserve to lose his place the way he played against Leeds. And I think when a player plays that well, you need to kind of bottle that up. And you need to keep that going for as long as possible. You need to let that player know that actually you were quality against Leeds and you led the line really well. Let's go and do it again against Everton. And that's what I'd be saying to Fabian Schär. But the only way around it will be playing a back three, which will mean changing the system. And is that really the ideal situation where you change the system just to fit in one player? I'm not quite sure. But Dan Burn has to start. Left-sided centre-back. He's a good centre-back, playing very well at Brighton. He has to play. That's just my opinion on the situation. But I just feel Lascelles will start just because he's the captain. As long as he's fit, which it seems like he is, he'll play.
If just building on that, then Pete, if they did change the system, would the likes of Fraser be left out, who I thought who was my man of the match because he gave everything in the last day, and I think he's starting to pick up a bit of form. So who gets left out to accommodate Lascelles then? I'd say.
I think Willock. Willock. Yeah.
Is Willock not out already to accommodate Bruno?
Well, we would talk about this on the away days, and that both Keith and Chris had the opinion that they didn't think Bruno would start. I mean, for me, I think Bruno has to start. You've just spent the best part of nearly 50 million euros on him. Like he's not like an Andy Carroll where you're bringing him in and he's got a horrible injury record and he needs time to get up to match speed. He's literally just gone and played for Brazil, and before that, he was playing for Lyon. Like,
to be fair, when he was at Brazil, Pete, didn't play both games. He came off the bench and won them. So it's not like he's fatigued. Yeah, refreshed. You know what I mean?
He arrived on Friday and trained the same day. Like he literally, there you go. Like he literally arrived in the country, got off the plane in the airport, drove over to the St. James's Park, did all his media stuff, and then went and trained with the boys. Like within a matter of hours. If he can do that on arriving to the country, he can play on Tuesday. There's no doubt about it. And you know what? And I know that Richie and Chris are going to the game. You're going to the game because you want to see Bruno.
Yeah. No, I'm going because I want to watch the lads. It's just a bonus that Bruno will be playing. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. And look, he's our marquee signing. He's the one that got everybody excited. Brazilian international. Like, you imagine his name being on the team sheet, the buzz that's going to create in the atmosphere, in the pubs around Newcastle, going towards the game, the buzz it's going to create in the stadium, whether it's at the Gallagher or whether it's the Leazes End, everyone's going to be bang up for it. And you know what? We need the fans to be up for it. So if he's fit, he has to play. So for me, that in itself will probably bring, bearing in mind if it's a back three, it will probably bring one of Willock or Joe Linton out the team with Bruno coming in, because I think Shelvey has to start. So it's likely to be, if there's a two in the midfield, it's likely to be a Shelvey and Bruno, and then where you had the Joe Linton, Shelvey, and then Willock just playing in front of them against Leeds, that's where you lose Willock, and that position goes to Lascelles in the centre-back. Do I agree with that? No, because I don't think we need to sit back against Everton. I think we need to attack them because they are not strong defensively. They've just lost Ben Godfrey, who Mike from the Unholy Trinity podcast has said looked like he's going to be out for the season. He's probably one of their best centre-backs. So defensively, they're struggling. So let's go and attack them. So I wouldn't play Lascelles personally, but I think if you do, I think that's where Willock will lose his place.
Yeah, I must admit, I think that, to me, I don't know, because I'm leaning possibly towards a three at the back, and I think your two wing backs, that would be Trippier and Target, and we know how they're really attacking as well, and their crossing's fantastic. So I think then you look at, and I agree with what Pete's saying. I think you look at Shelvey and Guimarães as the two in the centrally, and then I think I would still be looking at, if he's fit, would be Joe Linton as that third centre midfielder, playing just behind the two. And then I'd probably move Maxi up front with Wood to give him a bit of support, just, very flick-ons, or where, to get in and around Wood for any hold-up play and stuff like that. And I think Fraser will be wanting to miss out. But even if Joe wasn't fit, I don't know if Willett would be the right person for me to be coming through on the box. I don't know whether... I wouldn't mind, like, for that attacking aspect, possibly looking at Almiron in that, like a number 10 role, in that the attacking centre of the three. We never ever see him in that role, but that's his best position. And I just think if you've got two wing backs who will be bobbing up and down both flanks and can put a ball into the box, you give them two extra outlets to go at, as well as having Maxi and Wood in front of him as well. So he's potentially got four outlets around him, and you're going to have Guimarães and Shelvey behind him who can create. But also, obviously, we know that Guimarães is really good in the tackle and wins the ball back as well. I just think that might be an ideal opportunity to put Almiron in his ideal position. So I think it would be Fraser that loses out from the right wing position of the front three if Lascelles was to come in and play the back three.
Yeah. You know what I'm really excited about, other than Bruno and other than seeing the new signings? I'm actually excited about seeing two centre backs that are actually comfortable with the ball. And that Dambo's not a massively, he's not this silky defender. A little bit, he's not like a Shaw who's extremely comfortable on the ball, likes to bring it out and drive further forward. But he's comfortable on the ball to be able to shift the play. You go back to the Watford game where Lascelles just played two needless passes and gave the ball away, and we nearly conceded off the back of both of them over just awful passes. There was no pressure. We were controlling the game at the time, but then he just shifts the mindset because he gives the ball away, they attack. It would just be nice to know that when we're playing it across the back line, we've got Trippier, who's very good on the ball. You've got Shaw that's very good on the ball. Dan Burn, more than comfortable on the ball. He actually does like to drive forward at times with the ball as well. And then you've got Matty Target or, Paul Dummett, but probably Matty Target will start. All 4 defenders comfortable on the ball. You can then control possession. And then who better to control possession than John Joe Shelby and Bruno Guimarães? That is your midfield too. Potentially there with Willock as well, as more of an attacking midfielder, or Miguel Almiron potentially, like Richie said. It just makes for a better team. And if you've got players that are comfortable on the ball, that you're going to control more of the game. The one thing I said in the transfer shows, I think I said it on the transfer deadline day, is that what you're going to find now from Newcastle is with the players that we've signed, you're going to see our percentage stats start to rise in games. We're going to have more possession. We're going to control the game a lot more and not feel like we're just sitting back and inviting pressure. And I just think, the one thing, and it links to the point about Isaac Hayden, it links to the point about Kieran Clark, and it links to the point with Jamal Lascelles. Like, we need to move on. We need to move on from these players. We do need those players in the squad because we need a squad, and no doubt they'll have influence between now and the end of the season. But I think we need to move on with the way in which we play football. I think if we go with Shaw and Dan Burn, I think we can win this game on Tuesday, no doubt.
Cool. Before, because still on the first topic I brought up, one last thing is that touch of class from Isaac Hayden on the statement he came out with, and it do no harm in the summer as well when other clubs are looking at him, because he's not a bad player to pick up for someone else to pick up, because he'll definitely be moving on in the summer. Now at this stage, but as Pete says, we do need a massive clear out, and hopefully we stay in the Premier League. And we can carry on with that. I touched on a few of the next topic then a bit with the 5 new signings, and of course then it was Bruno's first day, and that was interesting. Loads of pictures and the little videos that went out as well, and meeting everyone in the changing room, and the signing. He'd already signed, but the actual for the cameras. And took part in his first training session. So and I think we have really kind of covered it already. But we're all kind of just really excited to see what he can do in the Premier League for Newcastle. How he's going to link the defense to attack. What we've a box to box kind of player. How that's going to work out. For me, I hope to God he starts. I really hope. I'm going to be very disappointed if I don't see him on the team sheet. If we see Lascelles on it and we see Bruno on the bench, and probably Joe Linton on the bench, I'll be pissed off, saying the truth. But
I don't care how many hours he's travelled. I don't care whether he's travelled from Brazil, China, the moon. He starts Tuesday. He has to start Tuesday. He's the guy that's taken us forward into the new era. What better way in going into a new era of Newcastle United than having Bruno Guimarães is your starting midfielder? Like, just Please, Eddie Howe, just do the right thing, please.
At the same time, we trust what Eddie comes up with, and as long as we win the game as well. But just start him, please. Anything else you want to say on Bruno before I move off the topic of Bruno?
I love it.
Not really. I think it was nice. It was nice to see. It was nice to see some of the reactions from, like, obviously Joe Linton, and when you saw him meet with the change room, have a bit of crack on and stuff like that. It makes you think that he's going to be able to settle in a lot better than what sometimes players might not. And obviously, he seemed to warp the Maxi as well when he went over as well. I can't remember who it was in the chat before. It was Chris. I started the comment because it made me laugh. And it was just, what did you make of the welcome car gave Bruno G when he came in? And you just thought, you know what? He just was like, yeah, okay, we know who you are. That's it. All right, no bother. I'm on my phone, just trying to sort out. That's how the loan deadline's passed. I've missed it. Shit, sort of thing. So it was like, it was like really, really bizarre. But no, it was. I think it bodes well. It looks as though he's going to settle in quite well. He got a really good reception of the rest of the players, and to be fair, I think he's going to bring that quality that we've lacked for a while in that middle of the park.
Breaking up a bit, Richie.
Oh,
He's stuck. At this stage, we'll go with the shout out.
I just wanted to touch on
go for it.
because Richie was making some good points about the Clark sort of situation, and Dunhill here mentions it again about the Clark reaction. I actually think the reaction to Kieran Clark from sections of the supporters, I think, was really harsh. I've watched that video. Look, I love Bruno Guimarães. He's not even kicked the ball for us, and I love him already. And for me personally, I think it was harsh with the reaction to Kieran Clark. I've watched the video, and he doesn't realise that he's coming to the room. A lot of the players didn't, and so as soon as he's seen him, it's kind of like shook his hand and moved on. But we've got to remember that media footage was for the benefit of us to see it. Who's to say that they've not already had their welcome? Who's to say that they've not already seen him and welcomed him in, but just not done it on camera? And then he's gone and done his media stuff, and then they've gone and done the media stuff where he goes in and meets the players properly, and it gets caught on camera. Like we can't jump to conclusions with things like that. I don't think, and I think it was really harsh. Look, we all know my opinions on Clark. Like he's shy. He's plain and simple. But I just think I think the reaction to that was a little bit harsh, and I don't think he did anything wrong, in my opinion.
No, and he could have had a conversation after that, and whatever. So yeah, let it go on that one. But yet, no, good to bring that up, Pete. Just want to give a shout out to ourselves first to say, if you haven't subscribed already, hit that red subscribe button at the bottom right hand corner of your screen, and a shout out to our sponsors as well, to blackandwhitearmy.com. Check out the range that clothing that Bronwyn is selling, and as she said to us on transfer deadline day, she's going to stick with that range and come up with a few more ranges. And Richie, I think you have a few things to talk to us about as well. Keeping secrets from us, are you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'm just looking at that video you said about just out of curiosity when you said about it. Was that video staged because of for our benefit? And how do we know whether the players have met them before? I've just watched it. When they're on St. David's Park, do you know who he's actually standing next to in the circle? And I thought this was I remember seeing this the other day. I think that's a bit weird because I thought he got on loan, but Matty Longstaff's in the video standing next to him. Did you notice that, Pete?
Yeah, I did. And there's a few people on social media. I've been catching up because I've not been on social media for a few days now. And there's a few people that had spotted it quite early. So I kind of looked into it a little bit, as to say, why is he there? And I think it's because Mansfield Town didn't have a game that weekend. Because they didn't have a game, they allowed him to go and train with Newcastle, and Newcastle had him back because they wanted him to train with the first team. So it was just, I think it was just a case of luck, really. They didn't have a game, and so he went and trained with the first team boys. And what better day to go and train than the first day with Bruno Guimarães? It's not a bad little talking point to go back to Mansfield Town and just say that you've just had a training session with a Brazilian international. Not bad at all.
There you go. Get him to sign something as well on your last day before you head off on loan. Nice one. I want to also give a shout out to shinebarns.com, and they have a range of clothing as well. And Simon is going to join us at some stage as well. We have to organize that, or I should say Martin has to organize that, and we'll hear more from Simon about shinebarns.com. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next topic. I think I have more topics. Yeah. I saw there as well that.
Yeah, 1-0 knocked Bournemouth out.
Boreham Wood. And what I've also read is for Boreham Wood, a certain Nile Ranger was playing for them today.
Yeah, apparently he came on as in the last few minutes of the game. Apparently, I thought he'd have hung his boots up by now. To be fair, his boots were always in the changing rooms anyway. He was that bad.
Yeah, he's had more clubs than Sir Les Ferdinand, surely.
Do you know what? It's funny we're talking about Nile Ranger briefly because all the videos going around yesterday of the 4-4 Arsenal game, And then you see Niall Ranger jumping on Tiotia when the fourth goal goes, and you think, dear me, you forget about that, don't you?
Yeah, geez, too spin. Yeah, I saw the clip again. Class goal, that one from check Tiotia.
Go on then, Daz.
Yeah, so yeah, the next topic, January player of the month for Newcastle is Kieran Trippier. Any disagreements with that? For me, no.
No, I think the only person you could probably say is being consistent enough, really, over the last few months, being Joe Linton. But no, I think Kieran Trippier's hit the ground running since he's come in, and he has been one of our better players. And I think we've pretty much all said him when we've had our reviews. He's probably been man of the match by at least a couple of the panel's choice every single game. So it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, you know what I love about Kieran Trippier. If you've not seen the highlights of the Leeds game, Newcastle put on the highlights of the Leeds game, but it's from I think it's like a match cam, so it's from like a lower ground view, and they just do the highlights, but from that one camera. And what I absolutely love about watching that clip, I've watched it 3 or 4 times now, is when was it? I think there's a couple of times. It's when I think it's when we're defending a corner. It's either we're defending a corner or it's just after Dubravka makes a really big save, and he just kind of it goes round to everybody because it goes out for a corner. I think it was, so it wasn't the save. He goes round to everyone. He's just like, calm down, like. Yeah, he goes and just talks to everybody, and he's just like he's telling him what to do, and telling Lascelles what to do. And Lascelles is the captain. He's going, you need to go over there, and he's organising things. And he just you just get a real sense of like maturity and calm with him. He's experienced. He's played in the Champions League final. He's played at elite level. He's won La Liga, and you could just see that coming out in him. And you could imagine that game against Leeds, why we felt so comfortable, certainly in the second half, when you've got a player like him in your team. So just that on its own, just allows him to be player of the month because he's changing the mentality of the way in which we play football. And that's massive. That's just as big as what you do with the ball at your feet, if you're able to have that ability. And it goes back to the point, he doesn't need that armband to be able to do that because he's doing it anyway. You've got some players that don't need to have that physical armband on his arm to say that he's the captain of the team. He's already proven it already. So a more than deserved player of the month. He's been fantastic for us, as we knew he would be.
Yep, exactly, 100%, Pete. Next topic I'm going to go on to, and I know if anyone hasn't seen it yet, I just want to say earlier tonight, Pete and Chris were joined by an Everton fan podcast, and that's on our channel if you want to go back and watch that in the lead up to the game on Tuesday. So check that out. But let's look at the next 3 games, and I want to ask the question because all 3 of those games are on TV. We've got Everton at home on Tuesday. Then on the 13th, we've got Villa at home again. And then we've got West Ham away. So from those 3 games, bearing in mind that we've strengthened and the other teams have strengthened. West Ham, have they? I don't think West Ham did much. If they did anything, I know they tried to borrow some of the people that we had scouted. But what do you think we're going to get from these 9 points up for grabs? What do you think we'll get? I'm going to say 5. I think 3 against Everton. We're going to win against Everton. Draw with Villa because Villa are playing well. And I'm going to say away from home, a draw with West Ham. I'm going to say 5. What are you having?
It's a tough one because I think everybody presumed before the international break that Everton was a banker, because of the way that they were with Rafa Benitez. But obviously, you look at the game that they had yesterday against Brentford in the FA Cup, and I know Brentford are on a bit of a downward spiral at the minute, and if they don't turn their form around, they could be drawn into the relegation mix as well. So you don't know how good a performance that was yesterday by Everton. And I do think Newcastle are a much bigger kettle of fish for them. I think if you look, I think we'll win tomorrow. On Tuesday against Everton. I think Villa's probably the toughest game of the 3 because Newcastle and Villa are the 2 teams that have really, really added, quality throughout the January transfer window. So that could be. I'm going to probably say a draw. Possibly, you never know. We might be able to nick it about, but I'm going to be conservative on that one and say we'll get a draw. And the West Ham one's a funny one because you look at them yesterday against in the FA Cup. Was it Friday night, whenever they played. And they got took to extra time by Kidderminster House. That was yesterday, lunchtime actually, wasn't it? And they only just won by scoring a winner in the 120th minute of and they were lucky to actually get to extra time as well. A 93rd minute equaliser to send it to them. And I know Moyes rested players in the first half, but Declan Rice came on the second half, and I didn't watch the game, but apparently Declan Rice was man of the match and completely turned the game when he came on, controlled it, and showed why he's an England international in that centre midfield role. But their form in the Premier League at the minute's a bit hit and miss. They've lost that the early season form, and we've got a pretty decent record down at the London Stadium as well. So it's a difficult one. I don't think we lose it down there. I'm probably tending towards having a draw on that one. So that's me saying 5, but it could well be 7.
5-7 for Richie. He wouldn't give me one answer. He's taking 5, 6, and 7 there.
I'll just take all the points options that'll go from 3, 5, 7, and 9. All the odd ones. I'll just take them onwards, and I'll be happy.
Pete, what are you having?
I think we can win them all.
Oh, confidence.
No, I think we could as well, Pete. It's just I'm trying to have the Newcastle head on where you don't think over positive.
I can't help but be positive. You know what? Even without these five signings, it was certainly the last 3 before the end of the window. I'd still be confident that we can win them all. Because I can see that we're playing better football. But with these new boys coming into the team, it only makes us stronger. And it's easy for us to look at, on the away days tonight, we were looking at, Dele Alli and Van der Beek, and you've got all these new players coming in. But we've got Bruno Guimarães coming in. We've got Chris Wood, who's still not scored for us. He will. He will.
But this I was saying, Pete, you got to remember, Isaac Hayden had Declan Rice in his pocket twice last season.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? For all the talk about Dele Alli and Van der Beek, Bruno Guimarães is better. He's better than Declan Rice. He's better than Van der Beek and Dele Alli. He's a better player than John McGinn in Villa's midfield. We've got a significantly better player that could win the battle on his own in that midfield. You throw a rejuvenated Shelby alongside that. There's no reason why. What we need to do as a team is start scoring more goals, and Bruno Guimarães will allow us to score more goals, more than one a game. And to be fair, we're going to have to score more than one if we're going to win these games. And I believe we can. Everton are there for the taking. Everton haven't won away from home since August this season. They haven't won away from home since August, so that stands us in good stead. Villa, yes, they're playing well, but with Villa and West Ham, they play their best football when they play against a team that is highly attacking. So they like a team to come out and attack them, and they hit them back on the counter attack. They're not going to get that from us. We play a different style of football, and sometimes when you have a contrast in styles, it doesn't suit the opposition. So the reason why we get results at the London Stadium is because our style and way in which we play football isn't suited to how West Ham want to play. So they have to then play differently, and they can't because they're kind of like they've only got plan A. That's all they've got. They've got no other plan. Aston Villa are the same. They like to hit teams on the counter attack. So they had Everton going at them. They had who is it that they played at home? Played Man United at home. Went out and attacked them. So they like to hit back. We're not going to play that way. And so we're going to be conservative. We're going to be controlled, but we will try and pick them off in certain parts of the game when they drop off. So I think for that and that alone, that we've got a great chance and a great opportunity to win all 3 games. Yeah, I'm confident now. I'm confident. Our squad of players and our team is changing. It's ever changing and it's getting better. We're not going to see some of these dreadful performances that we saw in the first half of the season. And I think we're going to start coming into our own. I really do.
So, to a long answer short there, Pete, you're saying 9.
Yeah, I'm going for 9. Why not?
Right. Not 8.
I think, I think the most important thing is that, Daz, just before you go on to your prediction, I think one of the most important things is we're on an unbeaten run at the minute. I think as long as we keep it unbeaten, it builds momentum. And I think that's the most important thing. So I think I would have to say a minimum of 5 just to go back to my original point before.
Yep. Okay. Cool. I'll have the 9 points that Pete has an offer there for sure. I'll take that every day of the week. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is Andy Carroll. Bring Andy Carroll to Newcastle? No, we'll bring Newcastle to Andy Carroll. And the Steves rock up. What was TV thinking when he sees the Steves rocking up? It did make me laugh when I saw him joining West Brom. I did feel sorry for West Brom. He does have a tendency to do okay in the first season, and then it goes downhill after that. But thoughts on Steve Bruce joining West Bromwich Albion, who are still in the mix for the playoffs there, aren't they?
Yeah, do you know what? I think Dunnell's put it in perspective here. It's Andy Carroll's worst nightmare, and I actually said this in our WhatsApp chat the other day when he was appointed, and I said, "Do you know what? You've had an all right sort of first half of the season at Reading, and you've got obviously you've went on loan to West Brom. Second, well, they signed for the rest of the season. Possibly pushing for promotion back to the Premier League. Everything's looking optimistic for you. They've haven't been scoring goals the last month or so. So you think, right, that's it, great. I can go in and add that and have a real good promotion push. Then they sack the coach that's brought you in, that's had that faith in you. And what the worst thing you could possibly hope for is the person who's brought you back to Newcastle and pretty much sat you on the bench for 18 months to 2 years. Do you know what I mean? And you must just be thinking, what the fuck have I done to deserve this? I really feel sorry for Andy. I think we should, I know Chris is a bit closer to him now in Liverpool. Perhaps he's headed down with an Avon hamper and might cheer him up a little bit.
That's not a bad idea.
Because you'd love it, but, I think you might do a decent job for West Brom. We've always said that Championship probably is level, so you never know. You might do something decent, but I just feel more sorry for Andy Carroll, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
West Brom are not getting promoted.
Not now.
Not now. They are not getting promoted. And if they think that Steve Bruce is going to get them playing better football, you've got no chance. Absolutely no chance. Right? You know what, Stephen? You know what the worst thing about it is? Andy Carroll's there. He must be gutted right now. He must be calling up Reading, asking for them to take him back.
Can they come back?
He'll halve his contract to come back and play for Reading. But more so than anything, is that they've gone and added another clown to the circus in Bruce's son, Alex Bruce. Yeah. Yeah. So he's now part of the managerial backroom staff as well, and he's just as big a clown as those three. So So basically, Steve Bruce is on social media now, then. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So they've not only have West Brom hired 3 clowns, they've gone and hired a 4th. Another guy that doesn't know anything about football, that doesn't know anything about tactically how to play. He wasn't the best of players in his day. Hasn't had any other coaching experience anywhere else, but yet they've added him to the team. It's just... I agree. It feels like a sentimental appointment, doesn't it? Like, you've had me back during Newcastle. Do you know what? I know you haven't got any income at the minute. How about I'll put you on the coaching staff with you. You can come and hold Daddy's hand at the side of the pitch. Yeah, boys club. That's what it is. The club for the boys. That's all this is. It's just... It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And should I care? No. Do I care? No. But I just feel sorry for him. I really do. And can I ask a question? A UK geography question. What club are the arch rivals of West Brom? It's probably Wolves, really, isn't it? It's like out and out. They should be worried because he's coming there next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tends to be Wolves is the big one, and obviously, but Birmingham and Villa have a dislike with them as well because they're all within the West Midlands.
He's been there already, both of them.
Yeah, they're all in such a close proximity, and yeah, you're absolutely right. And yeah, he's managed them already. So yeah, he wants to do the whole hog. Yeah. Jesus Christ!
You couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up.
You watch them plummet now, and there's a reason why he got signed when he did, because they don't trust him to buy his own players. So it was done after the window closed, and they emphasised it after the window closed because they didn't want to trust him with any money. So I just think they wanted a steady, or in their opinion, a steady pair of hands until the end of the season. He ain't getting them promoted. There's no way, no chance.
No, Alex, you can clip this, and if they do get promoted, you can play it back. There
you know what? You can play it back to his heart contents, because ultimately, I don't care.
I don't care either.
I don't care.
Oh God. Okay, that was the end of my topics, lads, that I wanted to bring. So, is there any topics you want to bring, or is there anything in the chat, Richie, that anyone's brought up?
No, it was just that interesting little the point I brought up before about the Clark, which I started. One thing I did want to mention, and it was brought to our attention by the club today, was I wanted to give the club a shout out for the living wage incentive that they've actually signed up for. I think it's fantastic for the club. I know the food bank and a lot of the trust and stuff like that, we're all pushing for to go to that under Mike Ashley. And that was we know a lot of people were on really minimal contract or 0-hour contract and stuff like that. But for the incentive to give every member of staff, no matter what level, at least £9.90, which is above the national minimum wage and national living wage as well. I think it's just fantastic for the region and all employees of the club. I think just a big shout out to the new owners for that. We've always knew that this consortium had the right intentions for this clubs, and I hope it's a smack in the face for all those journalists and other media outlets who've had it in for this regime, say they haven't got the best interests of the club at heart. That this is a backhand to them to say, look, we do have the best interest of the area, our employees, the fans, etc. And I just think it's a fantastic touch, and it's hats off again to the owners on that one.
Exactly, Richie, and fair play to anyone that stuck it out under the Ashley era, and at least now they'll.
Perhaps we should double the hourly rating for putting up for the last 14 years as well.
Yeah, anyone that's been with them that long. But yeah, that is a good news story as well, and I saw Mirdad tweeting that out as well today. Anything else you want to say, lads? I'll let you think about for a second while I was gonna promote away days again, Pete. While you're thinking, and yeah, as I said earlier, catch the away days show. It was on earlier. It's on our channel. Chat with Mike from UHT, Unholy Trinity. That was it. A podcast. Yeah. So catch up on that. I have to catch up on myself. Pete, yeah, what was the thing you want to bring up?
No, it was good. I'll just add on to that because it was a great show tonight. Really enjoyed talking to Mike. It turns out that Mike and Chris actually knew each other.
He sells Avon as well.
They used to work together.
Really?
Before, so yeah, it was like Mike.
Were you the third wheel, Pete?
Yeah, a little bit. It was like it was funny because me and Mike were on before the show started, and then when Chris came into the studio, we kind of like see his face change and say, "I know you." And then they used to work together. But yeah, he's a great guy, good chat. I had a good chat about Frank Lampard and various things Everton related. I had a good chat about Benitez, and had a few discussions about Rondon as well, and what he thinks about certain things. So yeah, definitely check it out. But one of the questions on here was from Kamal was, what do you guys think of Sven Botman's goal with an assist from Hatem Ben Arfa against PSG? I didn't actually see it. I don't know if you guys saw it, but no. I didn't actually see it. PSG are winning 4-1. They're absolutely.
It wasn't. I do know it was an equaliser, but I haven't seen it because I think it was an equaliser when we've been on air. So
yeah. so I'll have to check it out. But obviously, it kind of links into the point I was going to make, in that obviously Sven Botman's comments about us, were actually really nice and quite positive, particularly when referring to our project and liking our project is the same as the likes of Man City and PSG, which says a lot. So the fact that a player is talking about our project in that light should suggest that, when you hear comments from supposed agents like they have done about Hugo Ekitike, saying that they didn't believe in the project and they didn't trust the project, well, someone of the ability, significant ability of Sven Botman is sold on our project, then you better believe that it's a project worth investing in. So I think that shut up a few people, and it was nice to see. And I do believe that he'll be one of the first people we go for in the summer.
Definitely.
If we stay in the Premier League, or when we stay in the Premier League, he'll be one of the guys to go for, because I think there'll be a lot of other teams sniffing around him, but he's one that we'll have to act fast on. And it doesn't surprise me he scored again. He's a terrific young player.
I think this comment about Botman, this is back to what you've just been saying there. The chairman from Lille coming out said he wants to go to a Champions League club, and some monkeys, basically he thinks that the chairman's trying to get other clubs to up their price. I think we'll be trying to make a move on him straight away in the summer. I think he'd be our top target. But there's a few others. They've said that they weren't sold on the project. If they're not sold on the project now, I wouldn't be rushing to buy them in the summer, because we know that they're more of a. Are they actually going to be coming to play for the shirt? Like a lot of the lads who, Bruno Guimarães, we know he's now coming to play for the shirt, the club. He hasn't got a relegation release clause in his contract like the rest of the lads have as well. So, Hugo Ekitike, if he isn't sold on the project now, he shouldn't be sold in the summer either. Let West Ham use our scouting department and sign him in the summer. I would probably be looking in the summer, if once we know where our Premier League survival status and stuff like that for next season, that's when I think we would turn our attention to people like Darwin Núñez properly, and really, really make a go at him. Somebody can, he's a couple of years older than Ekitike, but can hit the ground running straight away. And I think that goes for a few of the people we've looked at who haven't been sold on the project this window. I wouldn't be looking at them as the right sort of character. As I know that if you look at all the people that we've signed, they've got good characters. Trippier is a leader. You could say that Wood is as well. He leads from the front. He's got the experience. You can say the same with Dan Burn as well. He's a leader on the pitch as well. Guimarães, working hard, doesn't drink anything like that. He's completely focused on the game. We've brought something that Benitez used to always say. It wasn't always about what your ability was on the pitch. It's what you brought. What sort of qualities you've got. It was your character that you bought as well, because you were investing in that as well. So if people are turning down this project now, are they the right characters that we want once we've got our Premier League survival secured for next season? Because where is their heads going to be at next season when these sort of characters who weren't sold in this window? So
I think you made a really good point for two reasons. One of them I'll just come on to here, and I think I'm not sure if you already did. That
was what I was touching on. That's what this topic. Yeah.
And just that point there, from that comment there, the chairman of Lille is just trying to, like I say, just trying to drive that price up.
Yeah, of course.
But the interesting point that you made about the mentality in the player that we're buying, that is the reason that we were never in for Dele Alli. It says a lot that we were trying to push for him really late on in the window. But from a lot of journalists, what they've said after that is that actually for the whole of January, Dele Alli wasn't part of our thinking at all. and it was only until Lingard deal broke down that we then went for Dele Alli, when we knew that Everton were trying to put a deal in place. And it's purely for that reason, is that they didn't trust his attitude or his mentality to be right to come and play for Newcastle. And we've made that mistake before. We've made that mistake before when we brought players in with a bad mentality. We talked about one earlier in Nile Ranger. You know, when we brought him to the club, he had the wrong personality. You could argue, although some fans still really love him and appreciate his time at the club, players like Jerry Barton didn't have the right mentality. I mean, bloody hell, he went to prison while he was playing for us. You know, he didn't have the right mentality for us. But it looks like we're being very, very particular on the players that we're signing. This is I'll be honest, we're talking about Sven Botman. This is not a good night for Sven Botman because PSG sort of fit.
Just we're going on about character, and I just want to bring this up what the Janos just put on. It says that Ekitike was given 2 hours to make his mind up on the move or not. He's only 89, so he doesn't blame the lad for staying put. I just want to throw it back the other way. Our interest in Ekitike came from about a week into the window where we put out. So surely you must have had your thought possibly that you could be ending up at Newcastle at the end of the window. So you would have had your mind made up should we came back at the window. That I would throw it back that way, Jano, if you don't mind. I don't know what you think on that one.
That's a good point, Rich. But and if we go back in for Hugo Ekitike again, I don't mind. I'd go back for him again. And I just remember what Lee said, that he said he thought he could do with more time in France in Ligue 1. So give him that chance. He is very young, and I do see what Jano was saying there. Let's see what he can do as well. I wouldn't mind watching him now for a few games to see what he can do in League 1.
I think it's just playing devil advocate on that one. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm thinking that, you know, he would have known, he would have had the interest. You know, if Newcastle had that bid accepted, or Newcastle knew there wasn't a chance of getting them, Newcastle wouldn't have put that extra bid in, and we could have turned that our attention elsewhere, left it. Do you know what I mean? So he's had time. He could have let us know when the chairman had turned around and rejected that. Look, I'm going to stay for the rest of this season, and we could have turned our attention to Zapata or somebody else. You know, you look at 2 weeks into the window, 2 weeks to go. You know, that's when we started turning our attention to Guimarães. You know, at the same time, we could have started working on a Núñez deal or something like that. Nixon was going over to South America to sign Guimarães. You could have had him going over to see Núñez as well. You could have structured the deal and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to play the other way, that, you know, the business sort of thing. So it's I'm not having to go at the young lad. You know what I mean? Because I agree with what Lee's saying. He is probably one for the future. Needs that extra half a season in League One just to get that extra experience. So that's good for him. It's just, I think I'm trying to look at our point of view for the second half of the season, and I'm trying to think he would have known then, so we wouldn't have tried to go back to the table, you know, on the last day, have a bid accepted, turn out, try to push it through for the whole of that last transfer deadline day, to then us lose out on that second strike that we were trying to get in as cover for Wood and Wilson.
Sorry, guys.
I was going to say I wouldn't rule him out completely. If he is the next Trezeguet or the next Mbappe, for the sake of those 2 hours that he had to try to make up his mind, I know he had longer time collectively. I'd give another chance. Let's say that's what I'm trying to say.
I don't think he comes to Newcastle now. I don't think that we will look for him in the summer. I think this was a one opportunity window to sign a player of that. Just like Jesse Lingard was only going to be a January signing. I don't think we go back into him in the summer either. I think he goes to West Ham anyway. But I don't think we even if we'd have had him on loan, I don't think we would have looked to have signed him in the summer. The same with Ekitike. I don't think we go and sign him in the summer. Now, you made a really good point, Richie, in that, you know, we were in for him quite early on in the window. So if you know a team are seriously interested in you, you start thinking about playing for that club. This wasn't
Clark the other way.
Yeah. This wasn't a deadline day all out of the blue. A bid's been accepted.
Yeah, it wasn't. So we went in from on deadline day to have it accepted. It was one of the first ones we went for.
We'd already had a bid rejected 2 weeks previously, and there was links for at least another week, 10 days before that first bid was rejected. So look, he knew that Newcastle were interested. He knew that there was a pretty good chance that he'd be moving to England at some point, because if you remember, West Ham were interested in him as well. So we had two potential English clubs coming after him. So he would have known he would have had to have moved at some point. Whether he got cold feet about moving, who knows? But I think it's a one-time deal. I don't think. Look, if we stay in the Premier League, with all due respect, we're going for a Darwin Núñez. We're going for a top striker, and we're going to start the project off. I don't believe that we will look to bring him in as a marquee striker signing. I just don't. I think, the role that he will play, that he would have played for Newcastle, I think Chris Wood will then play that role in the summer, is bringing him on, impact the game late on in various different stages. But we'll have a marquee striker that will take us forward into the next era. A lot of fans said it. He might live to regret that, because who's to say that this second half of the season doesn't go well for him and then nobody comes back in for him in the summer. And I think that's where he had that 2 hours where we talked about, and we heard that people were trying to encourage him.
I was just going to say, Tony had put up that he scored today. So
and that's fine. But he might have only had one shot at getting this move to the Premier League, and certainly to Newcastle. I certainly won't lose any sleep over it. I just think we will look bigger in the summer. We'll look at different options. We're not looking at a really a very sort of tight knit market. I think we've got a broad scouting network now, as the signing of Bruno Guimarães proved. I think we'll be looking far and wide, and I think there'll be more than one option for strikers.
Cool. Lads, I'm going to end out the show. We're back with a bang today with the 2 shows, away days from earlier and this one you're watching now. We're back, and we will have more shows coming up in this week and definitely in the weeks to come. I know.
Just had confirmation on Thursday. And I will confirm the time at a later date, we have another away days. So we've got Richie Sutherland, who joined us for away days for the Aston Villa game last time. He actually lives in Newcastle, but he's a Villa fan, travels to all the games. I'll be doing an away day show with him. So really, really looking forward to that. And then the week after that, we've got confirmation already, doing our business early. We've got the other away days for the West Ham preview, and that's going to be a cracker for sure. Dan Lawless from West Ham Fan TV is coming back to join us for a good chat. And if anyone didn't watch that previous away day show, give that one a watch. It's a great watch. And we were talking about how, our clubs were going to fare this season. And by that point, the first game of the season, we did not know there was going to be a takeover. So our discussions were going to be very, very good.
I remember that. And it was the first away days, and you were talking about the owners. It was the Sullivan, Brady, and the other guy, Combo, and Mike Ashley, of course. Yeah, I remember that. That was good. So it'll be interesting. And we have this is late February now. I think was it the 22nd of February, Rich? We have Kieran Maguire back to talk about financial fair play and the impact our transfer window, or January transfer window, has had on financial fair play.
Yeah, we tried to line them up for next week on Tuesday, but unfortunately, apparently there's a game, Brighton versus Man United on at Old Trafford. So obviously, he's a Brighton fan, so he said he'd rather go to that. So probably because of their best chance of winning at Man United this season.
Of course, by the time he comes on, we might have Dan Ashworth in place as well. You never know. What happen. And just also, I know because we've had to move this about 5 times, but our show with Mark Douglas, and I just want to say congratulations to Mark Douglas. I think his wife had a baby girl. I remember tweeting out something from our Insta account today. So congratulations to Mark. But Mark will be back with us. We just need to pencil in a new date for that. So keep an eye on our Twitter, or subscribe, even better, and then you'll get the notifications of when our shows land. Who's that guy? Martin Nesbitt? Never heard of him.
I don't know.
But that's it, really, lads, and everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll catch you during the week. Good luck.
Good night.
Now is the time, a time